So you're probably wondering, what do black peppercorns have to do with wine? Stay tuned to find out. Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Derica, and today we're taking it up a notch with our winemaking. That's right, we're making black pepper black currant wine.
I made this... Funny story. We went to a store, Derica started looking through the wine section, read the back of a bottle, and it said, flavors of black currant and black pepper. And I went, that sounds good. So we went and got black currant juice and some other things, and I made a wine. And, well, I almost hate to admit this, but I didn't take any notes or records. But it was awesome! Because I didn't know how good it was going to be. Came out fantastic. So, I did my best to remember basically what I did. Hopefully. And today we're going to recreate it. Okay? So, what we're looking for on this, it's gonna be slightly different than the one I made, because that was a bread yeast and it came out to like 12 or 13%, something like that. I'm actually looking to make this more like 14 or 15%. We are gonna be using Lalvin D47 yeast. And the things that you're going to need for this, you're going to need black currant juice, and I'm actually using 3 quarts of black currant juice. I may not use it all, but I probably will. 1 quart of Concord Grape Juice, which we probably won't use all of, and a little bit of cranberry juice. And when I say a little bit, I'm going to hydrate in cranberry juice, and that's all I'm adding, just a few ounces. Sorry for not being more specific with that, but I didn't even take notes the first time, so what we're going to do, we're going to hydrate our yeast. Now this is not a starter or anything like that. This is simply hydration. What I have here is a pack of Lalvin D47. I use the other half for something else, so I'm going to use half of it for this. And I know you can make 5 gallons out of a whole packet. It's hard to overpitch yeast, and once I open this, it might not last very long. So I'm just going to use half a packet. I'm dumping it into my self-stirring cup, and I'm going to pour in just a little bit of cranberry juice. Can you pick that up for me, please? And hold it right up close to the rim so I don't spill. Just like that much. That's it. I just want to get a little bit of the tang of the cranberries in this, because I do remember that from the original wine. And I do remember, too, that there wasn't a lot of room. The big debate was it 2 black currants or 3? I think it was 2. But what I'm going to do is use 2, and then the whole Concord Grape Juice maybe, and then I'll fill in the rest with the black currant. I know I just said I'm not going to use the whole Concord. I'm changing my mind.
Now we have had some comments recently about a yeasty smell with fermentation. When you pitch the
Smells like yeast.
Boom! It's going to be yeasty smell galore. So that's normal.
Some other things that are normal during a fermentation is bubbles, carbonation, like it should be carbonated. Also, a lot of people are so fast to want to rack it and this and that. Don't. I'm going to put this in a jar. I'm going to put it in the fermenter. And here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to put it under my desk for about a month. And then I'm going to check it. Nothing's going to go wrong. There's nothing that's going to harm it sitting that long in primary. You can let it sit for months in primary and have no problems.
The only time you really want to be concerned about letting brews sit too long is if they have actual fruits or other elements in there.
Even then, you can go a month.
Yeah.
There's no harm.
As long as you have a really good CO2 blanket, not much is going to be able to get in there and cause a problem.
But anyway, so I'm hydrating my yeast. And all that means is I put dry yeast in here, and I'm shaking it up real good. You can see this has little ridges inside here. It's actually from, what's it from?
The Magic Bullet.
The Magic Bullet blender.
We're going to put links to all this stuff in the description below.
But I like it because it agitates things as you do this. Plus, it's a lot more fun than getting a spoon and, that kind of thing. So I'm just mixing that all together. You can see it already made the cranberry juice really cloudy. And there's foam, but I don't know that that's really from the yeast activity. I'm going to set this to the side, give that about 10 minutes. Also, I have about a half a cup. You could probably see it. Yeah. Half a cup filled with hot water. That was boiling water, actually. And that is a PG Tips tea bag in there. The best black tea ever. Although somebody's going to tell me that there's another English tea that's just as good. I'm really sorry, but I love PG Tips, and we have tons of it.
Now, if we were in the actual UK, we may have a difference of opinion because we'd have more accessibility to good tea. But we're not. We're in the United States, and
we take what we can get sometimes.
That's right.
Anyway, the tea is there to add a little bit of the tannic mouthfeel. To add that tannic, makes your mouth go, pucker up a little bit. It adds body to the wine. This is a sweet wine, okay? It's probably not as sweet as my other one, the grape wine, but it is pretty sweet. I like it to be about 1030 when it came out, and that's still pretty sweet for some people. So
that's the gravity reading, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So at the end, it comes out a little bit sweet. The tannins, though, they round that out a little bit more.
If you are a wine drinker, then you are familiar with the tannic mouthfeel from the flavor profiles of good wine. Now, that comes naturally from the wine making process, from the skins of the grapes. We don't have any skins because we're using pre-juiced fruits, so that's why we're adding the tea.
Oh, something else. Someone said this isn't real wine if you just use juice. And I thought to myself, then what the heck are they making wine with? I mean, are these varietals that would normally make a traditional wine? Probably not. Although Manischewitz does use Concord Grape Juice. I don't know anybody that actually uses Black Currant Juice. But it's okay, because here's the thing. To make wine, you take grapes, you crush them up, you get the juice out, you ferment the juice, you make wine. Well, we just skip the middleman, okay? It's a lot easier to go from juices because we know these are sterilized, they're clean, there's no preservatives in there, it's good quality juice. This is the Knudsen stuff. I mean, this is good quality stuff. That's enough about the juice. Let's get started. What I want to do
First of all this stuff has been sanitized in our red bucket of sanitization. That's number 1.
Yes. Sanitization is important because you don't want any extra bacteria or anything getting into your brew. Then you'll basically be making vinegar real fast.
Some people will say fermentations don't need to be sanitized because the alcohol will kill off anything that's in there.
Eventually.
That is true, but when you're starting off, there is no alcohol present.
You don't want anything to kill your yeast before your alcohol gets made.
We want to start in a sterile environment to give that alcohol time to go, and then everything's fine.
So what I did, I put this on my scale, and I zeroed it out. I'm going to take a funnel, put it in there. I'm going to make sure there's, see all that stuff on the bottom? That's what you want. Well, some of that stuff, it might be a little bit of like the sediment. It could be fibrous, therefore it could have a little bit of something for the yeast to eat, the N word. And what I'm going to do is just pour this right in. I didn't spill anything!
It's close.
Oh yeah, it's like on the rim of the funnel. You probably saw it. Nope, you can't see that. Smells really good. Okay, I'm gonna move this so that, you guys can kind of watch what we're doing here. It makes sense. There we go. Now you can actually see. See? Hi. So, this is my second black currant going in. By the way, black currant juice is hard to get sometimes. We have one store in our area that actually carries it. Our Publix claimed they did, but they didn't. And I don't really like shopping at Walmart. They didn't have any either. I have not tried this with other than the Knudsen's brand black currant.
But when we made it the first time, it turned out so good
that we're doing it again.
We didn't want to mess with it.
Okay, so right now I have a Concord Grape Juice. Now, I thought this was kind of an odd thing, but we only bought 2 black currants the first time I made this. I'm almost fairly certain of it now.
I think so.
And I put Concord in to bulk it up, just to have enough to make a gallon. So, it's tradition. We're going to do it. So here's Concord. So this is going in. It'll add some fruitiness to it. It'll actually lighten it because the black currant can be really, really strong. So here we are. We're at almost 3/4 of a gallon. We're getting close. See, I don't think I used 3 black currants last time, so I got a little extra. Something else. Anyway, so now what I want to do is add our black pepper. Now what I have here is a plastic bag with black peppercorns in there. You can see that on camera, right? Let me show you. You see that? Black peppercorns. How many? I don't know, 20? 30 maybe? Like, what is that, teaspoon, I'd say? Half a teaspoon? About that many, okay? But if I just throw them in there, no, leave the phone.
Well, I'm concerned of your pounding.
I didn't pound yet. You're probably wondering what this is for. This is the best black pepper crusher ever, okay? You could put them in a mortar and pestle. Yeah, words. We got words. And you can grind them up if you want. You don't need them broken, like broken up into little bits. You want them just kind of cracked.
Yeah.
So cracked black pepper. I find the easiest way is to put them in a plastic bag and just do that. You know, a couple times. Bash them up a little. Now they're broken. See that? They're crushed black pepper now. Cracked black pepper. Yeah.
Yay.
And I'm just going to pour that right in. Now, it seems strange, but the black pepper actually came through. I used a lot less last time. I didn't really taste it. Derica said she tasted it.
And savvy.
Okay, well, I didn't taste it, so there's more. So that's in there. Don't worry about that in your primary fermentation. It's going to get all shaken up and everything like that. So what I want to do is get a reading on this juice so that I know how much sugar I need to add to get it to the gravity that I want it to be. Okay, so to take a reading, we have our hydrometer. You have one of those, right? They're very important. And it's not just to know your ABV. It's actually to be able to calculate where your brew should be. Because I know I want to make this like 15%, right? In order to get 15%, that's roughly like a 1.115 starting gravity or original gravity. And yes, that was one of our cats.
Gizmo!
Freaking out for whatever reason. They like to do this when we're filming. Don't really know why.
Gizmo is a pirate. Some people may think she's a Siamese. She's actually a pirate cat. And her pirate ship makes a lot of noise, and it's currently hiding in her bedroom, so she is distraught.
She's not happy about that. Okay. What you want to do is put it in, give it a little spin to get all the bubbles off of it. And then when it stops, we just take a look. What you're looking for is the SPGR, specific gravity. That looks like 1.052, which is pretty much normal. 1.050 to 1.055 for most juices, your apple juices and all the fruit juices, pretty much right about there. So what we're going to do now is put that back into the fermenter, the tub thing. Yeah.
Sanitization tub.
By the way, the juice is really good.
I can tell by your little smirk there.
Drop of it got on my thumb.
Uh-oh.
It's not there anymore. All right, so I put that back in. Some people say, "Oh, that's not too much to worry about wasting." It's like 100 mils, okay? Out of a bottle of 750, that's almost an eighth of a bottle. It's actually more than an eighth of a bottle. I really don't want to throw that away. Sorry, why is my voice going so high?
I don't know.
Anyway, so 1.052. So, if I know I want to be at 1.115, yeah, let me get my mix all not topped up. You know what, maybe I should explain that. Why do I need a 1.115 original gravity? Okay, and what is what is gravity? Gravity is the thing that makes things. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, gravity, when it refers to this, is density of the liquid. Okay, so if there's sugars in the liquid, the density is higher, and as those sugars get turned into alcohol, it goes lower and lower and lower. In that way, we can measure how much alcohol is being created, and it gives us a starting point and an ending point and a rough idea of what's going on. So if I know I want roughly 15%, I take 15. Let's see if you can even see that calculator in the camera there. 15 divided by the magic number, which is 131.25. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And I get 0.1142857, okay? I really only want the 3 digits because I'm going to put a 1 in front of that. So it's going to be 1.114. I like to round it off and say 1.115. So, to get 1.115, clear it out first, I'd say 1.115 minus what we've measured on this, 1.052, leaves me 0.063, right? Now, just to make things even more confusing, I'm going to add white table sugar, which gives me 0.046 per pound of sugar per gallon of must. So I'm going to divide that number by 0.046, giving me 1.37. So 1.3 or so pounds of white sugar. Got all that? Don't worry, there's a better explanation right here. 1 1/3 pounds. 1.3. I'm going to go with 1.3.
So let me get you a dry funnel.
Yeah. The reason why I'm going to go with 1.3 is this. This is a 1 gallon fermenter. However, it's not full, and it'll never be full because you want to leave some headspace. Otherwise, eruptions. You get to repaint your ceiling sometimes, maybe your floor. This stuff probably stains. I really don't want it all over the place, or on my shoes or anything like that. So because I'm using a little bit less than a gallon, I'm going to use a little bit less than what my reading says. If it doesn't come out sweet enough, I can always sweeten it later because I know the yeast I'm using should stop at about 14%. The yeast doesn't know that, but I know that. So it might be 13, it might be 15. This way, if I go to about 15 and it's not sweet enough, I can always just add a little bit more sugar and it probably won't do anything after that. Right? Now I'm just rambling.
Okay, so we are not sanitizing this funnel.
Oh no.
Because a wet funnel and dry sugar
equals sugar not going into brew.
Equals angry brewers. So don't do that to yourself.
Okay, so I zeroed it all out, so it's at 0 now. So now comes the hard part.
Notice I handed the bag over to Brian.
It was 1.3 pounds, right? So 0.3 pounds is like 3 times. It's like 4.5 ounces. So 1 pound, 4.5 ounces. I'll get you a grams measurement on that when I'm done doing this. This might take a little while because I'm going to be careful. Alright, I'm stopping there. I did 1 pound, 4.3 ounces, which if I switch this to grams is 20.4 ounces. 578 grams. There you go. So, because there's 454 grams in a pound, yeah, it's about 1.33 pounds. Okay. So I'm back to that. Now what I need to do is mix this up. So I'm going to take the dry funnel out. I'm going to put in a stopper or a bung. And I'm going to push it in there pretty good so there's a good seal. I'm going to put my thumb over the hole. I do have another one that doesn't have a hole in it, but whatever. We'll do it this way. And what I want to do, see all that sugar on the bottom of that?
Watch out, babe.
I'm just going to shake it up. Just give it a good shake back and forth. This is also aerating the must. What that means is you're getting some oxygen in there to let to let the yeast do their thing. In the very beginning of a brew, you actually want to add oxygen because what happens is the yeast need to build up their colony. Okay, we have a good bunch of yeast in there, but we want them to build up, get really strong, and then they start chowing down and they turn that sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide. So we want oxygen for the first couple days. After that, not so much. Then you can make vinegar, which is a whole different video. Okay, so I have this all mixed up now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this off to my lovely assistant, and I'm going to ask for the baster back. And I'm going to take another measurement. We're aiming for that 1.115 number, right? So I'm going to go in there past the foam. You don't want the foam in your measurement. That just makes it harder. I'm going to take my hydrometer again. Not quite. It's about 1.108. So what I'm going to do, 1.108 to 1.115.
You still got tea to add.
Yeah, I still have a couple things to add. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let this go. Because then maybe we'll be able to do another video where we back sweeten this and show you how to step it up so that we get to the sweetness that we want. Let's let this go. I think that's an interesting thing to do. Plus, if you start with a lower gravity, it's actually much easier to ferment. So I just did that as a test. I'm actually going to have to take another reading because I still have the yeast to put in, I have tea to put in, so it's going to lower that a bit more, which means I'm fairly sure this is going to fall short of the alcohol tolerance of this yeast. Not a bad thing, just a different way of brewing. In the past, what I've usually done is try to calculate a stopping point and all that kind of thing, but that might be a little bit more complicated. So instead, I'm going to let it go to dry, essentially, And you know what? We're going to try it dry too. See if it's any good, because we might like it. And then I can sweeten it to where I want it to be rather than working backwards. Make sense? Right? All right, so I have my tea here. My tea's been sitting for quite some time.
There is no right or wrong answer to how sweet or how dry your brew should be, because that's based on your own personal preference.
And each brew.
We tend to like things more sweet, but as we've gotten into this, we've found that certain things we actually like drier than we would think we would.
And some things we want really sweet.
Yeah.
Like the capsicum mead. That one, I tried it at 10:32 and I couldn't drink it. I just didn't like it. And I like hot things. It's just too much. Some people have had vastly different experiences with it. I liked mine at like 10:50 or 10:60. Most of my wines I like between 10:20 and 10:30.
But you don't have to do exactly the way we do as far as sweetness levels go, because that's going to be based on what your preference is.
Sure. To make it less sweet, actually, this one is going to go dry. So don't change from the recipe if you want dry. The trick is don't add more sugar later if you want it dry. But more on that in another video. So I have my tea, and I'm going to just pour this right in. It's hot, but there's no fear of killing anything because I haven't added the yeast yet.
And the volume of the juice in there versus how much tea was added, it's going to dissipate. There's not going to be a temperature issue that we need to worry about.
I'm going to give it another quick mix up here. Got a lot of foam. That worries me slightly. I don't like the foam because that means as the pressure starts to build, it could go up and cause a little bit of an explosion.
If you are a member of our City Steading Facebook group, you will see various people have shared their experiences with explosions. We have some really cool members who have made these elaborate air.
Well, you can make a blow-off tube.
Just
basically just a tube that goes into a bucket or a large mug of water.
That'll capture all that.
It works like an airlock, but it works on a larger scale and lets it really blow off the extra gases in the beginning. Sometimes in the very first stages, they can get kind of active. So now here's our yeast. It's been sitting in this, for as long as the video's been going, 10, 15 minutes or so. And I'm just going to pour it in. This is called pitching your yeast.
We didn't have an obvious foaming of the yeast that sometimes occurs. But we're not going to let that discourage us.
Yeah, it's all good. Okay, I'm going to shake, then a final not a final reading. This is our starting gravity reading now. So I just got it shook up, make sure there's no sugar on the bottom. I still have sugar on the bottom. Oh, we might be higher than I think.
And that's a good point. You want to check, regardless of what sugar type you're using. So for this, we're using sugar. If we were making a mead, we'd be using honey, of course. But if that settles on the bottom and doesn't get incorporated into your must, you're not gonna get a proper reading.
Now, just because you don't get a proper reading doesn't mean that the yeast won't eat it.
Sure.
They will.
They'll get down
there. And it might surprise you.
It.
Your gravity reading might go up instead of down, which is, we've had that happen.
That can also happen with temperature differences. So that's why we try, if at all possible, to have
brew at your fermentation temperature if possible.
And so for us, that's room temperature.
And room temperature for us in this house, during the day, around 74, at night, around 70. We are in Florida, but we run the air conditioning because I'm a northern boy.
Also, hydrometers are fragile. That does not mean they're Italian.
Hydrometer.
It means they break really easily.
Yeah.
This is...
I don't know, 4 or 5.
Yeah. And we gladly share our Tales of Woe of broken hydrometers on the Facebook group. So just be careful.
All right, we had a minor little technical glitch where everything shut off. We won't get into it. But we did take a reading, and it was 1.106, which comes out to 13.9 or so % alcohol, which is right around where the yeast should be no more. So at that point, we can make it sweeter, we can keep it dry, whichever way we decide to go, and that'll be another video. We will show you when this is done. The big question is, how long? Now, like I said earlier, I'm leaving this for a month. Somewhat to prove a point. I know it's probably done in a week or two, but I want to let it go for a whole month and not touch it. because there's no reason to. Too many people want to rack things early, and you're actually hurting yourself because you could be stunting your colony of yeast. You want to let them do their thing, let them finish. How do you know when it's done? Well, very carefully take all this off, take a reading with sterilized equipment, sanitized, not sterilized, they're different things, and take that reading, put it all back together, let it sit for a week. Take another reading. If those two numbers are the same, it's done. If they're not the same, if it went down, it's still working. Let it go for another week. Bubbles don't mean a thing. We actually had somebody in our group that had a bottle of water sitting, just water, plain water, with an airlock on it, and a temperature change made it bubble. So they'll fool you. They will lie to you. Any number of things can make it bubble. Don't think bubbles mean a thing. They just mean something's happening. It doesn't mean a fermentation.
Because this is a contained environment, it could be completely done fermenting, but it could be degassing, which would create bubbles as well. You may have noticed our intricate rubber band situation here. That's because this bung was not setting well.
It was popping itself
in this vessel. So
we just put a rubber band around it, holds it in place, keeps it locked. And you can tell there's a little bit of differential in the heights here, so I know there's a good seal. It's all good. This is going to go under my desk for 1 month, so the next part of this video in a month. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.